3 wins gains the victory.
That would be, of course, the dream, right? That would be our dream result, going all the way to the all 5 matches long. That would be the best Chinese HGC fans could hope for. But let's see if both teams can show up in their prime, in their absolute A game today. The first map we can see is already going to be Tomb of a Spreader Queen, with Towers of Doom banned by SPT and Cursed Hollow being banned by CE.
And like you said, Tomb of the Spider Queen is the first map. This used to be the map that everyone sort of dragged SPT to, along with Volskaya, as a more counterable map. But SPT, they've got a lot better on this over the last year. So feeling a little bit more confident. However, worth pointing out, I believe this is the map that they have lost the most on this season.
SPT or CE?
SPT.
Yeah, that could very well be the case. Especially at the beginning of the season, SPT didn't really convince us too much with a couple of wonky results here and there, even against teams
Volskaya.
Oh, it was Volskaya, there we go. Even against teams they were heavily favored against. And already we can see some of the old suspects, some of the usual suspects coming in here as the bans, Diablo and Malfurion for SPT. And Genji plus Maiev on the side of CE, and immediately the Phoenix being first picked. It's still interesting to see, in my opinion, Tetra, that a lot of teams in China seem to value Phoenix higher than Reiner. Even Hanzo here coming in before Jimmy, who looked so dominant yesterday.
Indeed. So this is a Hanzo for Alufo coming in here with a very early Johanna as well, with Diablo banned out. This sort of puts a little bit of a halt to the potential options for running a Garrosh. You still can, but Johanna is absolutely the best tank into this, and she is one of the best rotational tanks in terms of assisting wave clear. Even if you go with the Hanzo Explosive Arrow, you're still going to get decent wave clear capabilities there. Immediate response by SPT. They've absolutely seen what KTY has been doing with that Blaze, so they're going to take that away as soon as possible. And with Garrosh slightly less viable, Muradin jumps up in priority.
Yeah, and I would say next to KTY on the side of CE, I think SPT's Soap is probably the player in China that values Blaze the most, right? There's 2 teams, CE and SPT, who sometimes in certain roles have a pretty similar playstyle due to the player's hero's preferences. So yeah, with the Blaze being taken away from CE, that of course is no longer an option as the offlaner, as the melee bruiser. So what is left for them? Irel, still available if SPT doesn't ban it, and that has to be their ban. I was going to say, if they let that go through, they not only risk a strong hero go over to CE, but also the Blaze would probably get pummeled in the lane, because normally he doesn't stand a chance. And the Azmodan coming in the first game.
No chill.
I'm loving it.
No chill, no prompting, just straight Azmodan. That's just... there's no warning. There was no prelude to that. I'm quite shocked. The first Azmodan we've seen in any professional region? I need to double check that.
It's definitely the first Azmodan we've seen in China this phase. Especially, of course, after the rework, after some of the talent changes there. And how are they going to react? Tetra, are we casting China? Are we still in European Open Division? I don't know what's going on. We have a Gul'dan as well.
Gul'dan's good, and Dahaka comes in. So no, I would have preferred, maybe seeing as this, looking at this comp, a Malthael and just dropping the anti-heal there. But it looks like they decided they wanted a more fronty, more tanky frontliner. So seeing that straight away. And apparently Genji lost with the Azmodan to Miracle. Okay.
Okay. There we go. So I'm already curious to see what kind of talent build the Azmodan is going to build into. As we guys know, as we all know, there was a rework happening. So the definite pro build hasn't been found yet because of the short time that we had in professional play since he was available. And also, even if there were a go-to build, that doesn't necessarily mean that Chinese players would copy it blindly, right? Because sometimes China, they like to do their own stuff. Just reminding you of the infamous W Chromie build that we've seen from several teams in China now, and RPG was one of them.
It just keeps coming. They keep picking it. I don't know why, but it sort of keeps working. So I can't really complain about it. But yeah, the Gul'dan I really like. He stacks up.
It was about time.
And he's against a huge hitbox hero. He's going to have such an easy time stacking.
Yeah, and hitboxes are actually really, really important to consider when you have stacking heroes like Gul'dan. You bring up a very good point, you know, it's going to be very easy for him to land the corruption if he desires to go that route. Also, of course, what is of the essence here when thinking about that Gul'dan is the fact that it's wave clear. And wave clear on Tomb of Spider Queen is key, especially when you're already facing someone like Azmodan who can push down one or two several lanes at the same time.
There have been 2 Azmodans that I can find in professional play, both from Korea. One from Gen G versus Miracle on Doskaya Foundry, it was a loss, and one from G-Luck versus Blossom on Tomb of the Spider Queen, which was also a loss.
All right, let's see if China can revert the trend and lead Azmodan to the first victory in professional play. We're going to find out in a bit here. First of all, though, we're going to introduce the team to you, known as the Super Perfect Team, with Lucky on that Gul'dan, Melody C on Phoenix, Misaka on Muradin, Soap is playing the Blaze, and ZZH on his trusty old Rehgar. And
on the right, it is going to be CE, dropping some SPT sprays. We have Lufel on Hanzo, Wind on Johanna, 365 on the Alexstrasza, KTY on Dahaka, and Zhuyu is bringing out the Azmodan.
Zhuyu's done it again. We all know him to sometimes have a preference for specialists, right? He's played the Zagara in the past already. He is, like in 2017, he was on that Sylvanas, so he does have an affection for specialists every now and then.
Probius as well. He's brought that out a couple of times.
Absolutely right.
He likes his unique heroes. You might even say that he is unique.
All right, already we can see the brawl go down in the middle. The tongue connects onto Soap on the Blaze as well, but he's too tanky for now. Misaka jumps out to safety as well. And, you know, a little bit of a testing the waters by both teams, but no results really achieved. And already, let's take a look at some of the talents here that Azmodan brought to the table. It is Gluttony. Increases the number of stacks of Annihilation gained by hitting heroes with globes. And it is a quest talent. Azmodan has a couple of quest talents to fall back on. After gaining 200 stacks of Annihilation, each enemy hit will reduce the cooldown of the globe.
And that cooldown is doubled against heroes, which is pretty awesome. So giving up a Wrath, which has been a bit of a go-to due to increasing the auto-attack output of Azmodan, but it looks like in this case you does not want to get stuck in with that auto-attack style. Snipe with the Stormbolt there. And of course not going for Greed, which is, well, just a little bit of extra minion and merc damage, which they already have more than enough wave clear with Azmodan on his own, with the Johanna pulling everyone together, and of course Hanzo's scatter arrow build.
Absolutely true. I also think there's no need for additional PvE damage and wave clears. ZZH needs to be careful, tries to scout out the perimeter here. And already he will find 2-3 enemy heroes of CE, but they're backing off for now. Looks like that one rotation, looks like that one showing by ZZH was enough to scare them away. And rightfully so, because reinforcements for SPT arrived by the minute.
So now, with the mercenary camp taken, Zhu burning down that mage minion continues to gain stacks, and this is a good combo here. Using Johanna's Condemn, pulling everything together, make sure everything is caught in that Globe of Annihilation.
To this point, only Dahaka in the bottom lane to defend this from getting destroyed, but already you can see how much pressure SPT is putting on their opponents here in this early stage of the game. Alexstrasza actually pressured out heavily, needs to leave the lane altogether, and only KTY and Lufel are here to stop this mercenary onslaught. KTY would love to get a drag in there, right, to pull these siege giants closer to the towers, but the sheer presence of Muradin actually prevents that from happening.
Good pressure, taking out the Dahaka with that charge from the Blaze with the jet propulsion. And that 4-man, yeah, like you said, it was already a problem. Now it's a ruddy nuisance as they continue to push in. Good stun with the Stormbolt, looking for the Hanzo, but Dragon Queen is popped, and that's going to be enough to force SPT to back up, and that's going to give CE a chance to clear out these Siege Giants. Still
a huge success in this early game, though, for SPT, right? Not only did they destroy 2 towers, they got a kill on top of it, they forced the Alexstrasza out as well. And, you know, in the meanwhile, to try and get some counter value, Zhuyu and Dahaka are pushing as much as they can on several lanes at the same time. However, there's one hero that shuts down all this minion pressure very, very well, and that is Gul'dan, who, as we kind of predicted, went for the classic standard corruption build with minion consumption at level 4.
That he did, which, as we already mentioned, he's going to probably stack pretty easy. Assuming the enemy team actually shows up, because right now they were doing their own bruiser camp. Alexstrasza has been left to be the one to cap that. as they will finish that off. With the first turn going over to SPT, this Bruiser Camp will assist SPT, CE, in defending this, but bot lane still massively pushed up, so that's going to be incredibly irritating for CE, and they may even lose a fort at this early stage Webweaver.
This is not really the best situation for CE to be in. Beautiful micro, though, by KTY, trying to get ahead of Soap so he can't dash to safety. However, there's not enough killing pressure with Alufo and KTY. They're on the Blaze, still a tanky hero. The bottom Webweaver has been dealt with, but let's take a look at middle and top, which is still under heavy siege. Only Gul'dan pushing, but with the help of the Webweaver against Azmodan, that should still be a pretty convenient threat for SPT.
Misaka aggressively positioned, trying to slow down the rotations of the members of CE by cutting off the safe rotation route. Yeah, very quick Nature's Cleanse. No, regular cleanse, it's Rhaegar. I'm so not used to regular cleanse
yeah, right?
being
it's become quite rare.
Game. It really has, I miss it. So we do see Alufo just cleaning up with the help of 365, no issues there. And somehow that force survived. Very solid defense coming in from CE. This is going to give them the opportunity to try and go for their own turn-in.
Given the fact of, like, how many structures they had lost prior to those Webweavers, I think they actually did an admirable job, you know, keeping the experience gap low, or as low as possible, I should say. And, you know, as you said, defending all 3 forts, not even taking all that much damage onto them is a pretty big success for them. Now let's take another look at Juyu's talent build here. At level 4, he went for the Hell-Forged Armor, so not going for the additional Demon, which is something I've been seeing in Hero League quite a bit myself. So these Demons now, instead of spawning 2, they're going to get 35 armor, and they last 4 seconds longer. And this applies to both the Demon Minions and the Demon General.
And at level 7, he needs a Dodgeball Coach skin because it's time for Bombardment. As we see here, every time he attacks, with his basic attacks after casting Global Annihilation, within the next 3 seconds, his basic attacks have an extra 2.75 range and can hit an additional 2 targets. So very much like the Splintered Spear of Lunara.
That is correct, and that is going to be very useful in several ways. Attack range is probably one of the best things that could happen to any ranged hero, because that means you can deliver the damage from a safer distance. And if you think about it, there's a lot of dangerous melee heroes that you want to keep track of, you know, Muradin, Blaze. The more distance you can bring between those and yourself, the safer you're going to be. Muradin, speaking of him, he's trying to zone them out, actually body blocking the retreat path as well, but not enough damage as a follow-up.
Here comes the laser, not enough to execute a kill here. As a reminder, by the way, the bombardment empowered attacks will... Ooh, Demon Warrior used to block the Stormbolt there. Very fancy. But those empowered attacks will reduce the cooldown of Global Annihilation, which is, of course, always welcome. Slam comes in, begins to weaken down that push in the mid lane as the rest of CE try to clear it up while also staying out of the danger range of Phoenix.
And SPT's done it again. They unlocked the second wave of Webweavers. And just like we witnessed yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, if you get 2 consecutive waves in, you can actually snowball ahead drastically in experience, because now forwards are going to fall. The lanes weren't actually, you know, pushed out so heavily, so C is still finding themselves under a lot of pressure. Wind on the Johanna is trying the best he can. Great damage coming in from Juyu already, who completed his stack with that final bombardment.
Now he still obviously needs another 200 before he can reach max Annihilation stacks, which will be his maximum damage output. This is a good map for it, but obviously this is great for his damage output in general, as this will be at least 1 fort, probably 2, because bot lane's being pushed in pretty hard as well, getting taken out by SPT, big XP boost, but level 10 is now available for CE as well.
Yeah, top lane is looking the healthiest here, and it looks like CE has given up on the other lanes. They're not even trying to defend the bottom anymore. Those Webweavers will run out eventually, of course, as well for SPT. So right now, only KTY and that Dehaka taking care of the middle, as we might see an engage onto Soap. A great catch mid-air onto Soap. Beautiful kill on the side of CE there. Lightning speed reflexes from KTY, who's once again underlining why he's considered to be in tip-top shape at the moment.
Yeah, lovely pickup there. Really good job. They've cleared out the Webweavers, and now the question is, can CE actually get a turn in? They have over 100 gems, whereas SPT, they continue to hold the lane in favor. Good corruption, once again, getting good stacks onto the Azmodan as they begin to try and force a slow, methodical push onto this top turning point.
Melodies, he hasn't really joined his teammates up to this point. Dehaka now received full stacks as well. So let's see, how much can they actually do to prevent this SPT team from interrupting, from stalling out the payment process, right? Normally, the way you want to do it is you want to maybe take a mercenary camp at the bottom, force the attention there and pay top, or you just push all together and then pay in the bottom if there's a lot of pressure built up on the top lane. But as you can see, SPT has been doing such a wonderful job keeping the lanes pushed out actually against CE. And when your lanes are pushed against you, it's going to be so hard to sneak in a tournament because the enemy sees you, right? Minion vision is key sometimes.
That it is. So now, we already see a little bit of extra pressure being applied to something. We can see some damage output numbers and finally some stacks. 298 on the annihilation of Azmodan. That's the one we really need to keep an eye on, as that will be the one that can really dictate the late game.
Beautiful stalling and zoning from Wind here, and they were able... No, they weren't actually able to pay any of those gems, but look at that, 36, 27. Soap is walking on thin ice here. One more catch by KTY could mean the end of him. Speaking of catching somebody, there is a lot of pressure being built onto Melody C.
Iron Skin has to be used. In comes the Life Binder to keep Wind alive. He does tank through it. 365 though eats a huge amount of damage, as does Wind. And that salvo is going to be enough to pick up a kill. CE, they lose a fair amount of gems there, and they have to pull back to their base again. They are really struggling to get any kind of momentum in this game.
Absolutely golden ancestral healing here coming in from CCH on that Rhaegar. If that one hadn't landed, that would have been a dead Phoenix. The payment probably could have been completed then on the side of CE. So once again, beautiful display by SPT, who once again secured themselves this bottom mercenary camp. Those siege giants over and over again proved to be quite the hidden MVP.
They put a lot of pressure on. SPT continue to turn in gems. They don't have enough for a full turn in yet. They're pretty close, though, only needing another 4. So they're in a pretty good position, whereas CE, once again, they have easily enough gems and absolutely no map pressure.
Exactly. Now with 13 on the line and equalized talents, this is their time to make something happen here. We see Brutish Vanguard on the Azmodan, by the way. So the Demon Warriors, they gain 25% health and slow enemies nearby as well. So definitely a more teamfight-centered talent now, you know, with the extra slows. That could be sometimes enough to maybe lock someone down. And of course, the Demon Warriors, who already have 35 armor, now gaining increased health as well. These things are not going to be that easy to kill.
That lightning shield actually out of range to interrupt Asmo, so Misaka has to dive in a little bit more aggressively. But another denial. SPT with their 3rd Webweaver wave in a row. KTY has been busy cleaning up this camp. The Azmodan comes in with a little bit of assistance with that Global Annihilation. But this is just starting to get out of control. Almost full level lead for SPT. It's far from over. CE can 100% bring this back. It only requires a couple kills, but they have to start getting something. They need an objective at some point. They need a boss or something along those lines, and that is going to have to come from kills, because otherwise they're not even getting close to moving into their opponent's side of the map.
Exactly. CE, they have a little bit of time here. You know, those Webweavers, they don't really scale that well in the early mid-game. Top lane is going to fall. There's nothing to be done about that. All they have to do right now is take care of the bottom, take care of the middle keeps as well. You cannot allow those to fall just yet. Towers may fall, but that's fine as long as the keeps remain safe and sound. Azmodan trying his best here, Zhuyu, with that superior PvE damage to really keep those lanes at bay. 35 gems on him here, by the way. Boom, so much damage. I really like the wave clear potential. If only they can liberate themselves out of this pinch, you know, of constantly fighting from behind.
Zhuyu has completed Annihilation, so his damage output is great here. Here comes a good slow salvo onto Zhuyu, who almost goes down. Horrify is there, but good Life Binder. Dragon Arrow from downtown, but you can see there, Phoenix actually absorbed that. Good cleanse as well, blocking the best shield. But Melody C, he didn't actually take that much damage because he sensibly went for the dampening field, the spell armor, as long as he has a shield active. Fantastic against Azmodan especially.
Yeah, absolutely true. The more spell shield, the more spell armor you can build up on any hero basically against the Azmo, the more resilient you're going to be against this constant poking. And I really like the fact that you brought this up, Tetcher. Now, CE, they're trying to make something happen here. 15 is not enough to fight SPT on equalized talents, and look at that, Misaka. He knows exactly what SPT is trying to do here. He's leading the front guard, he's leading the vanguard, and more SPT reinforcements are about to come very soonly here. And look at the mercenary camp control. This is basically a picture-perfect game by SPT up to this point. They're denying turn-ins, they secure mercenary control, and KTY is in trouble.
He is in trouble. Dragon Queen is dropped. I might have made the he is dead call very early as KTY actually escapes. But that is a Dragon Queen being burnt for that escape. But he is the majority of their gem holders. Over 50 gems on that Dahaka.
Right now, SPT, if they correctly predict what CE is trying to do, they could have even thought about taking the boss here instead of trying to invade the mercenary camp again, which unfortunately they're a little late for this time around. But look at that corruption hit onto a Lufel, takes 70% off his health bar.
Leaps into the abundance though, via horse. Very nice there.
Very elegant.
That agile dismount, very elegant. So we get the healing, he's healed back up very fast. But we're still in this exact same situation. Oh, fantastic. You've got 136 gems. You're just about to be on even talents. You grabbed yourself a bruiser camp. Now what do you do? Because they can't get the objective. Yeah. They're just cleaning lanes at this point. Azmodan's stacked. They're not waiting for anything anymore. They're just looking for an angle.
Yeah, and SPT is just controlling the map, right? From start to finish, they've got everything in check. They have perfect vision onto CE. We're still desperately trying to pay. And look at the positioning here by Misaka as well. Constantly slowing down the rotations, distracting him, saying, you know what? I'm just all by myself. Why don't you focus me a little bit? Okay. Then again, oh, I'm Muradin, so I'm probably going to get out of harm's way to safety anyways. And here, that's exactly what they've been doing all game long.
Good drag. Finally, they work it out. They realize they have only seen 2 heroes for a little bit, and they do finally get their turn in, but it's going to be against a boss. And even more importantly, Blessed Shield was burned for that, trying to catch Muradin before he dwarf toss out, but it completely missed.
Yeah, Muradin at 16 even going for the dwarf launch, which means that he will have a longer range and a cooldown reduction if he lands at enemy heroes as well. So he's going to be able to go for even more reckless maneuvers than we've already seen it here. And that boss, of course, beautifully timed by SPT, who were fully aware of the fact that CE desperately tried to get that turn in. And this boss is going to keep them occupied. It's going to shut down any top lane pushes on the side of CE. So SPT, once again, although they just had the first turn against them, still in major control.
They haven't lost the tower. Bot tower's going to be fine. I believe top tower might have taken a little bit of damage, but overall, there's only one web weaver left, and that's the one that helped them clear the boss. You can see that you have the gate down. Tower's pretty healthy here for SPT. They'd be more than happy to just move up here and defend against this web weaver. A CE, they don't even seem comfortable actually fighting. They really want SPT to group up for the defense so Azmo can slam them, but they're not. They're just happy to let it clean. It's lost so much tick health even getting to this point.
Yeah, and also they lack a little bit of initiation power, you know? The only they have is kind of like the Dragon's Arrow coming in from Hanzo, and maybe a Johanna with a Blessed Shield, but other than that, they're going to have to get dangerously close to SPT to actually make anything happen here.
Another turn-in is available for CE. At this point, you just saw a percentage damage slam with the total annihilation from Zhuyu. They seem to realize that Soap is there, so Wind's putting some pressure on at the top. TTY sets up his own little trap. Enough gems available for CE, not yet, but soon available for SPT as they're looking for a little bit more wave clear.
Now let's see how long CE can actually keep up this momentum here. They liberated themselves a little bit, depushed all the lanes. You know, Azmo continues to grow in power as he lands more and more globes. Now, as you said, with the total annihilation also dealing 5% of the hero's max HP in raw damage. Zhuyu drops a globe here, but not really doing all too much. And look at Melody C. He's pressuring the Lord of Sin quite heavily himself.
And I believe I did see earlier that Azmodan is completely stacked on his Annihilation, so now it's all about that late game level 20 talents, and of course just dropping as many slabs on heroes as possible. More damage is always good. You can see he is taking pretty decent chunks.
Yeah, it's really cool to see these AoE auto attacks in action as well. It's something that I haven't really seen in pro play like ever before. So let's see how much damage Zhuyu on that Azmo will be able to dish out. The late game, I think, could get pretty powerful for CE. If SPT, you know, it's all nice that they got themselves this early lead and experience and structures, but if they can't maintain this pressure, if they can't even threaten the keeps, I think it will have been for nothing, because already CE is working on to equalize the structure score.
I mean, if they can get forts, that's going to be fantastic for CE, because they are going to actually get themselves closer to that level 20, which is just around the corner for SPT, but they're being denied. Look at this. Mid survives. Bot Web Weaver's just about to fall. Very little left. KTY's pushed up a bit. They'll get some towers, which will get into level 19, but 20's already here, so they're going to try and make the play right before it happens. As the Dragon Arrow comes out into the backline, doesn't actually get that much value. Good isolation onto Muradin, gives him the best escape route. Salvo comes in, a good burrow by KTY, dodging it, he gets horrified, he's eating everything, but he is tanky through it. Ancestral lands on Misaka, Livebinder onto Dahaka, keeps him alive as well. Good drag for the turnaround, they're going to try and grab Soap here, but they can't do it. KTY is going to get dropped.
KTY was dropped indeed, and now it's a 4 versus 5. Here comes another massive corruption onto Wind, who's trying to turn it around, but 365 for the Alexstrasza is now the dragon that is no more, and they're going to make it a triple kill. Here's many gems lost on the side of CE, but also more importantly for SPT, more momentum gain. Now they're going to immediately try to turn in Gul'dan, going for the bottom mercenary camp as well to maximize the efficiency, and that Tetra might be a mighty scary push if only they have one more gem.
They have enough gems for the turn in, but like you said, this is a disaster here. Hanzo gets a lovely disengage. KTY have a beautiful burrow, but now he's so far away from his team. Alufal is miles away, thinking this was a disengage, but that Horrify completely turned everything on its head. Even with the gorgeous Lifebinder, the slows from Blaze are massively shutting down the escape potential as KTY just gets absolutely bodied.
Yeah, I don't really understand why they tried to make a comeback happen there. They still weren't level 20. Although Dehaka survived, I don't think they were in any condition to, you know, really maintain that damage. And look at how many red gems there were dropped on the side of CE. Look at that corruption almost fully connecting onto Alufal. He's going to take almost full lethal damage. This receives a last-second heal on the side of Alexstrasza.
This is going to be the first key, potentially second and third if they rotate to top lane as Azmodan continues to slam, but level 20 is almost here for CE. Everyone's alive. This is a defendable core, but it's not going to be easy as Alufal gets chased in. He might just die here. Lifebinder keeps him alive. Good Horrify, but he's completely isolated. He gets wiped off the face of the map. Here comes the bunker for that push potential and the dive, and this is going to be a massacre. With 2 members down, SPT move on to the core, and that is going to be game number 1 in favor of the Super Perfect team.
In convincing fashion, did the Super Perfect team take down CE, who from start to finish with that Azmodan pick looked like they were getting overwhelmed all the time. You know, Azmodan, he's one of those heroes, similar to Nazeebo, for example, who need a long time to really get rolling. And if SPT picks up an aggressive team comp like, you know, the one they had with Blaze and Murden constantly shutting down the turn-in angles, then, well, you're not going to get to that late game. And if you get there, as we could see, so much structural damage and pressure had already been dealt, it was too late.
Azmodan now 0-3 in professional